All right. This is why things are as bad as they are, because these are the experts that some people listen to. Folks, welcome to a channel of More Survivalists, and I've been asked yet again my opinion regarding some of the claims by Peter Zeihan. Peter Zeihan has a channel with almost 1 million subscribers called Zeihan on Geopolitics, even though his level of understanding of not only geopolitics, but even basic school, elementary grade history is painfully lacking, to say the least. If you want to learn more about preparedness in general, if you want to get ready for what's happening in the world, you really need information from people that know what they're talking about. I humbly recommend you get my books, Street Survival Skills and Surviving the Economic Collapse. These things are no joke. What you go through something like this, you need information from someone that knows what he's talking about. In my case, I've actually gone through one of these. Not only that, I've done a ton of research over the years, and I know what I'm talking about. This man does not. A couple examples. Maybe one of the saddest things is around here.
Speakers of Spanish descent living throughout the Western Hemisphere. And it's fairly easy for this.
Yes, he discovered that there's a bunch of people in the Western Hemisphere that speak Spanish because of Spain. That is
Spanish mainland, Spanish government, Spain proper, to import people from these former colonies with
Spain had no colonies. Those are not colonies. What he mistakenly thinks are colonies, that's in fact Spain. Those are territories of Spain, were territories of Spain. Okay, there's a massive difference between a colony and a territory. A territory is part of your country, like Alabama is not a colony of Washington. It is part of the United States. It is all the United States of America. That's the difference between colony and territory. Spain had territories. As it expanded its empire, it kept making that empire bigger. Other countries, other empires, like England, had colonies. Something you may have heard of. Please don't make me lose all faith in humanity. Let me know in the comments that you sometime heard the words taxation without representation. That is something that every American should understand. Well, that is directly linked to the difference between a colony and a territory. When you're a territory, you do have representation. When you're a colony, you do not. You just take resources, goods, services, and whatnot from that colony, and that's it. Not only that, there's also a very important social it's a social component that makes things relevant up to this point. When you are not in a colony, but you're in your own empire or country, well, those people are your fellow citizens. Those are people that you can form families with, marry, have children, and that's exactly what people from Spain did in America. In the other cases where you have colonies, that was not the case. All right, big difference. That's why. And when he says proper Spain, mainland Spain, he's using language from the British Empire, right? The British Empire had colonies. Spain had a growing empire and different territories. These are big differences, but anyway, that's for another video. Maybe the saddest part is when he confuses Spain with a Mexican territory that has to obey whatever Mexico says, which I just do not understand how anyone that considers himself knowledgeable in geopolitics could possibly make. But here we go.
Not just in terms of their economic model, but their economic grouping. Luckily, there is a potential answer on deck. The Mexicans from time to time have flirted with the idea of Spain joining NAFTA.
Mexico cannot flirt with Spain joining NAFTA because Spain is not annexed to Mexico. Mexico has no power, no saying on anything that Spain does. In fact, I will assure you that Spain could not give less of a fuck what Mexicans do, say, or want. Okay? So the part about, what is it he called it? Flirting?
Potential answer on deck. The Mexicans from time to time have flirted with the idea of Spain joining NAFTA.
they have no say, no power, and they cannot do anything at all to make Spain, which is, by the way, much, much, much bigger in terms of an economy, in terms of its geopolitical strength, in terms of everything. It makes no sense to say such a thing. This just shows a sad lack of understanding about even basic interactions among nations. The idea that Mexico can influence, flirt, make, suggest, hey, Spain, would you like to join NAFTA or anything at all is just sad from a grown-ass man.
And I gotta say, it would be a pretty clean fit. The demographics line up, the industrial bases are complementary.
What are you talking about? The industrial bases are complementary. You are saying nothing at all. The demographics line up what? Mexicans and Spaniards and Americans and Canadians? That's the demographic that you're worrying about lining up? What are you even talking about, man?
And having a foothold in mainland Europe would not be a bad idea.
A foothold on mainland Europe? He probably thinks that it has just been discovered by Christopher Columbus? Europe was now... You think you will have a foothold on Europe through Mexico annexing Spain to NAFTA? NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement between Canada, United States, and Mexico, which no longer exists? Why? How would Spain join a no longer existing trading bloc that was never much at all? Why would they do that, being, as he says himself in the article, economically booming within Europe? Why would they leave the European Union to join NAFTA, which no longer exists? Jesus Christ, man. Seriously.